Alright. Well, here we are again. In another episode of the RNAV series. So, came across a situation, and maybe we can make this the fourth one. So, alright, this is pretty typical, but let's just say that we're being cleared onto the Shrek 2 arrival, and our transition point is Shrek. Okay, just like saying that. And so we're going to be making our way into the RNAV 18 left into Orlando. So we took off from Tampa and we've headed north near Ocala, and we're going to go ahead and jump on this arrival. Right, and then away we go. Now you can see the TOD. Alright, the TOD is coming up, but it's not uncommon at this point at 11,000 feet. Wow, we already have the vertical profile. It's not uncommon for them to, and I guess it's within 20 miles of it, for them to now clear us to say 8,000 feet. So Silverwings 233 descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Silverwings 233. So I gotta do it, right? I mean, ATC, you know, they're the boss. So how am I gonna do this? Well, I'm gonna vertical speed. I'm gonna do 10,000 or 1,000 per minute. Per minute. Isn't that nice? It is. Gosh. So we're going 1,000 feet per minute. You can now see we're below glide path, or flight profile, I should say. That's better terminology. Let me go ahead and pull some power back. So we're going to end up going through the TO. And so remember in my other videos, in the other demonstrations, once we went through TO, we hit VNAV. Exactly. Well, we're not going to do this right now because we can't. Because now we're under the control of ATC. But we're going to go past the TOD. So, yeah. Exactly. Let's see how this goes. And so as you can see, we're going to be getting radar vectors after Stinky. I like saying that as well. So I'm not making this stuff up, guys. There it is. There's the chart. Crazy. And so we're going to see the TOD go off in a minute. Okay. What are we going in? 18 left. Yeah, I understand it's not being used, but we're going to use it right now. We're going to add to final. ZANTI's 4,000. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. I'd like to see the turn. Okay, there we go. So the TOD is off. The descent checklist now goes on. So might as well comply. Landing elevation. Interesting. I know Orlando isn't 0. I'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm not sure why. So here we are. Laterally, we're golden. We're golden. Here's the manual. We have a vector after manual, unless we're vectored by ATC. The vector is going to be, we're told to track or a heading, we're told to head 115. So let's just go ahead and put 115 in right now. Alright, now we're at Alt. So we have passed TOD. So we need to be careful of when we now push VNAV. Alright, so FMS, we're all set. Decision. Oh. Huh. I actually think I'm going to go missed. That's okay. Better prepare. Wrong button. Okay, we're coming back in. Okay, about this time, we're going to say ATC now goes Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Descend and maintain 6,000 feet, Silverwings 233. So here we go, busting it down to 6,000. Do we use VNAV to get there? No. 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 We don't use VNAV to get there. Let's make sure our speed stays up. Put it back on the notch. Excuse me. I'm okay with around 230, 220 because we're getting awfully close. You can see we're right here. We're 30 miles out from our from HABRA. Actually, from ZANTI. Where's ZANTI? We'll go HABRA. Hey, look at that. Look at that. What am I looking at? Well, we just left Stinky and we had our heading bug set appropriately and boom, it flew right to it. Now we're going to go heading. Heading select. And away we go. So this is good. We're maintaining 230. We got our decision altitude in, arrival briefing, we just did. Approach, seatbelts. Let's make sure we get our lights on. Seatbelts. Should have had that on a long time ago, given the thunderstorm right where it looked to be in. And we were under 10,000 feet. So, landing lights, boom. Altimeters, what's Orlando? 2992. Need to be very specific. Alt star. Let's go ahead and drop the power back a little bit more. I wouldn't mind getting around 220 now. Cabin altitude, check. Approach checklist is complete. I'm going to jump a little bit. I'm going to get right into before landing. I like bringing it up just to have it. Cabin crew. And we'll leave it on landing gear. Okay, right about this time, we're going to get Silverwings 233 cross HABRA at or above 4,000 feet, cleared for the RNAV 18 left approach. Cross HABRA at 4,000, at or above 4,000 feet, cleared for the RNAV 18 left approach. Silverwings 233. Okay, so that's what we got. So let's go ahead and just go, at this point, we can go direct to HABRA. Alright, so moment of truth. Do we let the VNAV do it? Do we go right now to 2,200 feet? And then hit VNAV. Are you ready? There it is. Boom! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but that is, we held the top of descent kind of in abeyance. You know, we held off pressing the VNAV until we had basically cleared discontinuity, until we are now good to go, or because we've already crossed the TOD. When to press it? Well, right now is probably the best time to press it. Once we've crossed it, or once we have it, excuse me, once we have a continuous line, it could be good. My only question is, what if we did the same thing, and what if we had to intercept, you know, the final approach course, not the way that we're doing it right here on the direct to? Can we do it the same way? Because right now, if we were to intercept the final approach course, we would not have a magenta line going to HABRA. Okay, not right now. We're being vectored, and so we have to have it on heading mode. Speaking of heading, so that's pretty exciting. It should hold us at 4,000. So I'm going to lower the power to get us to 220, and then as soon as we level off, our speed is going to drop, and I'm going to need to maintain that. But I'd like to kind of maintain 200, something like that. You can see us now. So we got 300. Missed approach, by the way, is 4,000 feet. Need to keep that in mind. All right, so here goes our 4,000. Once we make the turn into Gipney, that's when I'll hit the approach button. You say, well, you've already been cleared for the approach. Yes, I know. And I could probably put it on right now. As a matter of fact, let's do it. We've been cleared for the approach. That we know is going to put the VFP in blue underneath the VNAV path. And so let's go ahead and do that right now. And we know it won't kick in until 2 miles in front of our final approach fix, which is Kobop. So here we go. All right, so we've armed the VFP. So I'm looking for a, let's go ahead and keep reducing the power. Let's get us to around 190 at this point. I'm looking for a, here we go. I was about to say I'm looking for a, oh, before landing, kicked in. All right, so now it's going down to 3,000 feet. Let's make sure that our power keeps coming down. Now I want to get to our flaps. Gipney is going to be, Gipney's 9 miles out, so that's pretty far. Let me try to keep it at around our flap speed, which is 185. Let's keep it around there. Nope. See, it's the game within the game. Alright, so we got 170, which is good, so that's all looking good. So Gipney is, okay, 2.5 in front of Kobop. So once we pass Gipney a half a mile, then VFP is going to go. Cabin crew has been alerted. Let's go ahead and go power management to TO right now. Okay, here we go. So let me drop my power. Let's get a notch of flaps in. Okay, and we're VFP, 2 miles out from Kobop. Now, once we get close to Kobop, so we're a mile away from Kobop, okay? Here's the thing. I want to see Kobop, once we hit it, say 6.5. It's probably not. It's probably going to say 7. See, I don't understand going below profile right now. Now we're above profile. I mean, you know, it's just nuts. It's just nutty, right? Okay, here we go. Kobop, 5.1. What? Oh, because we're going to Napa. Okay. All right. Gear down. We're 6 miles out. I want to see 3 green. Boy, it takes a long time. Okay, 3 green. All right, let's go ahead and put up our lights. Everything's looking good on the external lights, which is fine. So landing gear is now down. Flaps, we're coming in. So Napa, we're 1.3 miles from the threshold. And we'll find out in just a minute once we hit Napa. All right, we're at 140. So we're ready to go for our last notch of flaps. Power management is set. TLU low speed is set. Icing light, negative, check. External lights, on. Before landing checklist is now complete. We are at, by the way, it's 100 feet on the touchdown zone. Not sure why our landing elevation is 0. Something we probably could have rectified. Okay, 300 feet is our bogey. We have gotten a little quick here, so we want to get 1 notch of flaps. I'm really intent on last notch of flaps is now in. Should have done that a while ago, but okay, here we go. Looking up, and here we go. A little off center, but that's okay. 2.2. Nope. That is not the distance to the threshold.
Approaching minimum. 200. 200.
Okay, let's get the yaw damper off.
Minimum.
Those are some pretty big trees. Yep, I know.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
We have a lot of crosswind here. Let me keep it left. This. I think this is Juliet. I didn't catch it. Yep, right, Juliet. How can you tell? It's the black right in the middle. And here we are. Yeah, not supposed to take it necessarily, but we were there, so we took it. Yeah, because I mean, we would taxi over here because we're at the gate over here. So, all right, look, that was a 19.5-minute video. I'll try not to make it much longer. But flaps up, and then we'll go from there. All right, look, so this was theme and variation on this one. We came in on our arrival, and we were told to descend on that arrival, not descend via the arrival, because the Shrek 2, although it's an RNAV, when we look at it, there's no points. There's no constraints on this, right? I mean, you have 12,000 feet, which you must be, typically you want to be above, but you're not having any altitudes with lines underneath, or surrounded by lines or anything like that. So and typically on the ATR we're going to get these, right, for turboprops and props. And so this is a typical arrival, and this is of course into a significant airport. So what's happening here is that we were told to descend prior to the TOD, and so we'd use VS to do that. And once we passed TOD, we didn't get anxious and hit the VNAV button. As a matter of fact, we did not. We refrained from hitting the VNAV button after we went through the past the TOD. And so we just kind of kept it in abeyance. We knew at some point we would hit the VNAV button. And my strategy of hitting the VNAV button was, once we got through the last waypoint in the arrival, which happens to be Stinky, we're heading 115, and then we got another descent, and we did not use VNAV for that. And then came to clearance. The clearance was, okay, here we go. You're cleared to HABRA at or above 4,000 feet. So, well, shouldn't have you been cleared to ZANTI? Nope, doesn't have to be that way. Cleared to HABRA at or above 4,000 feet, and cleared for the RNAV 18 left. And so the cool thing about that was we were able to then hit direct to go from heading mode into LNAV. So we hit the nav button, go into LNAV. Now we have a continuous line all the way to the threshold. When we're flying a magenta line to HABRA. And from there, at that point, we lowered our altitude selector to COBOP, our final approach fix, at 2,200 feet, and held our breath. Yes, I held my breath. And we hit VNAV at that point, and bam, up popped the VNAV path with HABRA at 4,000 feet as the first constraint. Okay. All right, so here we are. Back again. All right, so we are on the Shrek 2 arrival. So here we are coming into Shrek, and then we have Stinky and Manual. I don't make this up. And then we go into our approach will be 18 left RNAV. Here's the approach. ZANTI, HABRA, Gipney, COBOP. 4,000, 3,000, 4,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,200. 300 feet. Coming in on the Shrek. Here we are. Normally on this one we'd be coming in from the north, but we took off from Tampa, so we're going to join the Shrek 2 at Shrek. But there's our TOD on the arrival. So there's the TOD on the arrival. And then we have the manual discontinuity where we'll be vectored onto final, on our final approach course. Much like being vectored into a localizer. Does that happen often? Sometimes. Most of the time within our nav, as we know, will just be cleared direct to maybe the maybe HABRA, cleared direct to HABRA at or above 4,000 feet, cleared for the RNAV 18 left approach. It's not similar. But in this case, we're not doing a descent via on the arrival, because as you can tell, as you look at this, there's really no descent. This is pretty common for turboprop and prop arrivals. And so we'll typically get a descent clearance from ATC along the route, which typically will be, I mean, it could be before or after our TOD, but we're demonstrating before the TOD, right? So let's go ahead and get something similar to what ATC would give us. Would be Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 7,000 feet. Descend and maintain 7,000 feet, Silverwings 233. So we go down to 7,000 feet. Do we use VNAV for that? No. I pulled the power just a bit. So you can see we're going to be at 7,000 beyond our top of descent. Zoom in so you can see it. See 7,000. So that's the flight computer saying, okay, we expect you to be at 7,000 around this point. But you notice the TOD hasn't moved at all. Right? The TOD hasn't moved at all. It's calculated in the FMS, so you put in your cruise altitude, etc., etc. Matter of fact, I never went to cruise. I wonder if that impacts anything. We had just gotten to cruise when I clicked on the video. So anyway, here we are. We're descending. 234. We're now below 10,000 feet. So let's go ahead and get our landing lights on. Seatbelts. Well, we never turn our seatbelts off. That's okay. We were just above, and we had some clouds coming out of Tampa. So here we go. So remember, we won't get our descent checklist until we cross the TOD. So if you want to jumpstart that, you can. You most certainly can. So FWS recall, you'll get it again though. Landing elevation. So here's an interesting one. So Orlando's at 97 feet. We're showing landing elevation at 0. We know we have Orlando into the FMS. There we are. It's 96 feet. Excuse me. I'm thinking it's rounded down. Is it a big deal? I know I made a big deal of it on the last video. It's not. Whether you're at 0 or 100, we're talking about cabin pressure here. We're talking about cabin pressure. Okay? Not glide path, not anything that's going to affect your, you know, your reds and whites. It's not gonna, nothing's gonna affect that, right? So nothing here on the cabin pressure is going to affect that. So if your landing elevation is off by 100 feet, no biggie. So we just got to get that out of the way. All right, so you can see, always mess that up. It's interesting how it paints the curve, but yet it flies over Shrek. Has a lot to do with the arrival points and how it's programmed into the FMS. I could have undone that, but that's okay. It's much like overflying a VOR on manual flight without GPS. Okay, here we go. So we just passed the TOD, and there's our path. So our path box came up, our magenta path box came up. All good. And we're coming down to 7,000 feet. 240. Remember, as soon as we level off at 7,000, our speed's going to drop. So if we want it to drop to around 220, that's fine. But if you got to keep an eye on that, otherwise it could go lower. Okay, so we're coming up on Stinky, which we have an exit at 115 if not told otherwise. So let's go ahead and set us to 115 on the heading bug. And that will be our exit. So we're going to leave Stinky at 115 and 7,000 feet. And you can see we got a brand new descent That's because when we pass the TOD, it just brings it up automatically. Oh. Is it borrow 300? Yeah, it's 300. I think we're 290 here. Saying this does impact things. 296, so let's go straight 300. When we're pulling that from, we're LPV. Its approach would be 4,000 feet. Final approach course 185. Cobalt 2200. So remember, this is going to be a vector to final. So we're probably going to get vectored on somewhere in between ZANTI and anyway, Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, Silverwings 233. Am I going to use VNAV for this? No, don't touch VNAV. Don't touch it. Notice how we settled in at 220. Now I'm going to try to keep it at 220. But you're not touching VNAV, don't touch it. But you're below path, that's okay. We were told. We're going to be below path. So, but what about this manual thing? What about this manual thing? Relax. Right now we need to go heading mode. So we passed, and it, you know, the LNAV automatically continued us. But that's okay. It continued us on 115. But now go ahead and press the heading button, much like we would do on an approach for an ILS. So now we're in heading mode. We'll get our approach clearance shortly. So descent, arrival briefing, we've been briefed, approach, seatbelts. Seatbelts are on. How did I not get the landing light on? Seatbelts are on, landing lights on. Altimeters, check 3000. Is that, let's just double check. Yep. In cabin altitude, check. 500 feet. We're golden. Okay, here we go. Coming on in, we're descending to 4,000 feet. Have we hit the VNAV button? No, we have not. So we're going to get a clearance. This is how this is going to go down. We're going to go ahead and get a clearance. It's going to put us somewhere along the approach line, the approach course, final approach course. And it's going to be in between ZANTI and HABRA. So we'll at some point be going direct to HABRA. And then we have some buttonology that we're going to have to do fairly fast. Okay, we're at 220. That's good. As soon as we level off at 400, that airspeed's going to drop, and I'm okay with that at this point. As I approach final approach course, I may want to be closer to 190. I want to be just under the first notch of flap speed, which is 185. 185 on our VFE for 15 degrees. Okay, Silverwings 233, you're 5 miles northwest of ZANTI. Turn right, heading 150 to intercept the final approach course. Cleared for the RNAV 18 left. Okay, so let's go ahead and dial in 15. Okay, Silverwings, turn right, 150 to join the, oh, you know, that was a bad clearance. Turn right, heading 150, maintain 4000 until established on the final approach course, cleared for the RNAV 18 left. Yeah, that's more like it, isn't it? All right, Silverwings, hold on. Turning right, 150, maintain 4000 until established, clear for the RNAV 18 left approach. Okay. Let's say it was 155. I'm not a good controller. That's our 30-degree angle. So what do we do here? Well, we get ready to go direct to. And we're going to go direct to HABRA. You ready for that? Hold it. Now, direct to HABRA. We're going to execute. Hit the nav. And there we go. Now it's going to come back around a little bit on us. So if you don't want to do that, just go like that. And there we go. So we're basically establishing ourselves right now. So we're at 4,000 feet. And we're approaching HABRA. I'm now going to lower our altitude to 2200, which is our final approach fix. Remember, we have passed the TO, or the top of descent, excuse me, the TD. And here we are. We still have our box. And let's go ahead and hit VNAV. So here's our path. And so we've been vectored on. Let's send our heading bug. Say, well, are you established? Yeah, I mean, we're flying 182. The approach course is 185. Heck yeah, we're established. There's the runway out there. Yeah, but you're a little off. Yeah. But not in a mile. A mile will be right on it. Alright, at this point, we're going to arm the approach, which means all we're going to do is put VFP up in here. And here we go. We're beginning our descent to 3,000 feet. I'm going to put, I'm not going to put down a notch of flaps quite yet. But I do want to keep our speed below 185. I got too busy yapping and our speed kind of moved on us a little bit. So how far are we at Kobop? We're 6.5 miles. I have no problem putting a notch of flaps down at Gibney. It's going to slow us down though quite a bit. Sometimes they're going to want us to 170 to the final approach fix, or at least a mile in front of the final approach fix. I'll wait until we get VFP to put down our first notch of flaps. I just need to make sure that our speed does not breach 185. Okay, here's VFP. Let's put down our first notch of flaps. Cabin crew. So VFP is on the go. Now we're VFP green only. We're coming up to our final approach fix, flap or gear down. Kind of get you a look in here, see what's happening. Here we're 3 green. Power management to take off. TLU low speed is on. The icing light off. External lights. Let's make sure. Here we go. On. Okay. The only thing that's missing is our last degree of flaps, and we're at 1,800 feet. We need to get below. Our last degree of flaps would be 150. We could do it right now. Oh, I see the double orange right now, but we'll wait. Center unbugged. Okay, there we go. We're nearing 1,000 feet, so let's go ahead, or 1,000 above. So let's go ahead and put down our final onto flaps. Before landing, checklist of flaps are good. Power management to take off. TLU speed is checked. And icing and external lights. Before landing, checklist is complete. So here we are. Napa. Coming up on Napa. Napa's supposed to be 1.3 from the threshold. Let's see what it is when we cross Napa.
$500.
2.2. Keep that in mind. My airplane. Zoom back a little bit. Now if we stay on this path, so now you can see, look here, I have to push the nose down to stay on flight path.
Approaching minimum.
I'm on path right now.
200.
See, we're 1 white,
Minimum.
3 red.
Minimum.
I gotta, it's just uncomfortable for me to stay on path, right?
100.
So something's wrong with
50.
that.
30. 20. 10.
Flaps up. Reduce the pressure. I know we're not supposed to come off on Juliet, but we're gonna anyway. Okay. You can see our tail. Is our tail actually sticking over? It is. That's pretty cool. So let's zoom in here. No, I can't zoom anymore, but I want to show you. You could see that our tail is sticking over the line here on our map. And there it is, sticking over right here. So, want to be all the way across. A good way to check is this map. Pretty cool. It's all these little things with this airplane. There we go. Now we're legal. Alright, let's go ahead and just put the gust lock on and cut this. Alright, so let's do a quick brief. I know we've already gone a little bit over, but again, what we did, let me pull up the charts. We came in on the Shrek 2. a little unconventional. We came in from the southwest. We intercepted Shrek at, the whole idea was to transition onto the Shrek 2 via Shrek, and then fly what remains of the arrival. And so we got a TOD somewhere in between Shrek and Stinky, but we got a ATC clearance to descend prior. And so we went ahead and got a clearance to 7,000 feet. So we went ahead, descended to 7,000 feet, past the TOD. We descended on vertical speed. We did not descend on VNAV. We passed TOD, and then we were vectored onto our final approach course, which is pretty cool. We did receive actually one more clearance to 4,000 feet, a descent and maintain 4,000 feet when we were being vectored. And so we were vectored, we were clear for the approach, all good. I played air traffic controller, didn't do a great job, but anyway, we did. And then we got onto our final approach course. How did we do that? Well, we used Direct 2. We used Direct 2 once we got very near the final approach course. And then because of the angles, we did not want to fly back. We just did it again. Once the plane started to get closer to the final approach track of 185, final approach course 185, I hit Direct 2 again and executed it to make sure that we were now going directly to the next fix on the approach plate. And then at that point, we put in the altitude for our final approach fix, which was 2200, and then we hit VNAV. So that was a demonstration of how if you got vectored in somewhere along the line, right? So we did not get any direct twos. We were vectored onto our final approach course somewhere along the path. Can you still use VNAV? Yes. And so that's how you're able to accomplish it, particularly at these airports where you have a very, we could have had a couple more step downs. Could you do it without VNAV? Absolutely. And then you could arm your VFP, and away we go. That will be for the next video. Okay, so here we go again. Thanks for picking up with us. Here we go. We're approaching the Shrek 2 again. We're going to Shrek 2. So this is the Shrek 2 arrival. We're going to transition on Shrek onto the arrival via Shrek. So that will be our transition point. And so, yeah, and then we'll fly the remainder of the, what's left of it, of the arrival. Here's our top of descent. You can see it right after Shrek. But as we have done in the two prior cases, we're going to get, ATC is going to go ahead and clear us to a lower altitude before we get to the top of descent. Okay. Here is our, you can see over here to the right, starting with ZANTI. We'll just kind of ZANTI, HABRA, Kipney, Kobop, Napa. That's the RNAV 18 left. Not used a whole lot, but we figured it's very representative of RNAVs at, you know, maybe Class Bravo, Class Charlie airports. Okay, okay. Let's go ahead and get us in at 300 here. Approach course will be 185. Okay, Silverwings. Let's go ahead and get down. Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 7,000 feet. Down to 7, Silverwings 233. So let's go ahead and pump us down to 7. Let's finish our decision today first, though. There we go. All right, do we use VNAV? No. No. Vertical speed. Because we're not to the top of descent area, VNAV just wouldn't know what to do. At least that's my opinion. Should have hit it, but anyway, I'm using vertical speed because we're going to get vectored and we're going to get manual clearances along the way, which is, you know. And so, okay, so what are we going to do this time? Glad you asked. So we're going to fly the approach. We're not going to use VNAV this time. But we are going to arm the approach to get VFP. And we're going to see if VFP kicks in 2 miles in front of COBOP. Final approach fix. So will it go green? Will VFP go green? And will it act as a glide path for us to bring us in from the final approach fix down the 3-degree glide path? Standard glide path angle 3-degree. Will it do it, or will we have to manually go in there and put something like 600 foot per minute? So we're going to dive and drive this one. We're going to dive and drive all the way, and then until we're about 2 miles out from COBOP, which means we won't get to 2,200 feet, but we'll be on the descent to 2,200 when it kicks in, and we'll see if it continues the descent for us without ever touching VNAV. All right, we're below 10,000 feet. Let's get on our landing lights. Let's tell everyone to take their seats. Some very important things in here on our perf page. On the cruise, we had to manually put in our top range altitude of 11,000 feet, 1,000 feet. And also when we go to the init page, for perf init, we manually put this in at 11,000 on our cruise. Okay, we have the magenta box, which I didn't pay attention to when it came up, and that's something I probably should do. We'll go back and look at the tape, see when that box comes up, because we haven't passed the TOD. So it's getting us onto a flight path. It must be a certain number of miles within the TOD that we get it. So remember, we won't get our descent checklist until we pass the TOD. And we're passing it right about now. There's the descent checklist. That's now we've got the blue line that says, okay, this is when you're going to hit 7,000. We have our path that's up. We're alt star. FWS, recall. Landing elevation, check. FMS, nav, and perf, we're good. Do we have our decision altitude? And we do. Arrival briefing, we have been briefed. Approach. Seatbelts are on. Landing lights are on. Altimeters are set to Orlando. And our cabin altitude has been checked. Awesome. Okay, we're told to exit Stinky at 115 via the Shrek 2. See 115. So we're overflying it in a mile. Last time we left it on LNAV, but I would advise we go to heading select mode. Say, well, won't that do away with my magenta box? Here we go. Heading select. No, it does not. And we're not touching the VNAV. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Okay, we just committed the cardinal sin of descent and level off. We have not added more power. Actually, we were in the notch. We were in the notch. Okay, so notch is going to bring 223. That's interesting. We could increase and decrease by manual, but I'm okay with 223. All right, so here we go. Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Silverwings 233. Do we use vertical nav? No. Vertical speed. And now we're going to manage our throttle. We're within 20 miles of our fixes, so I don't want to be speeding along at 240. And then try to do some fancy footwork. So here we are, we're below path, allegedly. Silverwings 233, descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, Silverwings 233. Just keep it going. Okay, and we might get something like this. Silverwings 233, cleared direct to ZANTI at or above 4,000 feet. Cleared for the RNAV 18 left approach. Direct ZANTI at or above 4,000 feet. Cleared for the RNAV 18 left approach, Silverwings 233. So here we go. Let's go direct to ZANTI. Execute. Hit the nav button, and away we go. Constantly moving our map to get a better view. Okay, so we need to cross ZANTI at or above 4,000 feet. Remember, I'm not doing this particular one with VNAV. So we have Alt Star. So we're going to cross ZANTI at 4,000 feet. Let's go ahead and keep the speed up. Actually, you know what? I'm okay. We're 10 miles out. If it dips down, I'd like to hit the final approach course at 185, so I'm okay if it starts to dip down. So let's keep it kind of going down. Alt green. Center the heading bug. So we're 6.4 from ZANTI. Winds are 201 at 5, so as we land it'll be a little bit off our right. Alright, so we don't need to have the approach up any, or now we just need our approach. We don't need the arrival any longer. Okay, so COBOP is 2200, we're 185 on the approach course. And away we go. I'm going to keep this up because we're going to be stepping down because we're not using VNAV. We're going to do this manually. Okay, so we're now at Alt, and now we're at 185. Let's just stop our power. Let's stay right at that notch, that flap speed, so we can get ready to put down the first notch of flaps. Alright, so now we know our next point, ZABRA, will be 4,000. So we don't need to dive and drive there, but we'll need to go to Gipney. So let's set up for Gipney. And we're going to go to 3,000. Okay, nothing to do now. Remember, we will not, on this approach, this demo right here, we're not going to use VNAV. But we are going to use the approach. We're going to hit App to get VFP. I want to see if VFP works without touching VNAV. That's my whole purpose on this. I should have just said that right at the start. If you already know the answer, you could probably just turn this off. I don't. Okay, so let's give a little more power into the turn. Interesting how the flight model, as soon as you start to turn, power or the airspeed goes down. Okay, now here we are. We are on our final approach course, so we are now established. We are now established on the RNAV 18 left. Silverwings 233, contact Orlando Tower at 124.3. 124.3, Silverwings 233, have a good day. Alright, so then boom, 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 boom. I would already have this in here. Wrong place. Orlando Tower, Silverwings 233. RNAV runway 18 left. Silverwings 233, winds are 193 at 6, clear to land, runway 18 left. Clear to land, runway 18 left, Silverwings 233. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to hold on to flaps until, but right now, we need to get ready for the VS because we're almost to HABRA. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. VS. Let's go down. Dive and drive. Pull our power back. I want to stay, if I can, around 180. It's the game within the game. Go a little quicker. Let's arm our approach. So here we go. VFP is now in blue. Remember, it won't kick in until we're 2 miles in front of COBOP. Here comes our 3,000 mile marker. Alt star. Let's dial in 2200. And let's continue to go for 2200. Let's go ahead and get our first notch of flaps down. We're 1.8 from Cobop, and we have not got the VFP. Gotta hit the VNAV. Interesting. VFP is green. And there we go. So now we know the answer. Let's get down there a little quicker. Okay, now we're on the path, so we need to go 4,000 feet on our missed approach. So in order to get the VFP to actually connect and start descending your aircraft, you must have VNAV on. You must hit the VNAV button. Even if you dive and drive, it will not take you over the goal line. Cabin crew. Landing gear almost. Let's do landing gear now. It's going to be a little bit quick. It's going to be an abbreviated full flaps. Make sure the lights are all on. Boom. There we are on the runway. Landing gear flaps. Let's get the power management to take off. We need to have this all done before 1,100 feet. TLU speed, icing light, off, external lights are on. Before landing checklist is complete. Here's 1,100 feet. Boom. 1,000 feet above. We're good. We're stable. 3 green. Full flaps. And some additional knowledge. Guaranteed if we didn't hit VNAV, we would have been still flying level at 2,200 feet right now.
500.
Okay,
500.
just go ahead and fly it. Again, if I try to maintain the flight director, which I will attempt to do, we will hit the trees.
Approaching minimum.
Get a little more power. It's so
minimum.
uncomfortable
Minimum.
doing this. Because you just want to...
100.
I mean, we're much higher above the path.
50.
Let me back up.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We floated. We certainly floated. Could have used the flaps to help us slow us down even more. Could have retracted them quicker. But anyway, all right. So this was certainly not a landing demo. And we're fully past the line. Okay. So let's go ahead and gust lock. All right. So we've been stopping at Juliet last 2 times, so didn't want to go to the next one. Wanted to wrap up the video. So, man, what did we learn? So we came in on the approach without VNAV, and we were diving and driving all the way. We got to Gipney at 3,000, and then we use the vertical speed to come down to 22. Typically what we've been seeing is that FP goes green, green box if you will, 2 miles out, and then it goes full green VFP. We were a mile from Cobop. We had armed the VFP, but it wasn't going to engage. We didn't, it was only a mile from Cobop. And so in order to get the VFP to actually go green, we needed to hit the VNAV at that point. And we hit the VNAV before Cobop, and then that armed the VFP, that made the VFP go green. We saw our constraint of 2200 in magenta. We saw kind of the magenta glide path pull up, and then it flew it. It flew it all the way down until we took it off autopilot. But had we not hit VNAV, my concern was we would have still been flying at 2200 feet. We would have had to have put in vertical speed, put in like a 700, 800 foot, because at that time we were above 2200 feet. We would have had to probably put in a 600, 700 foot vertical speed profile in order to get us to the runway. Not the end of the world. We would have put that into the VS, and we would have flown the flight director down, and then until we got to say 300, and then we'd look outside, see what we do, if are we continuing, are we not, and then away we go. So not a problem. You can do it without VNAV, and you can do it without VFP. How do you think they do it with just LNAV right here? So what if you were flying out in the Bahamas and all we had was just LNAV? We had no vertical, didn't even have vertical guidance. Well, you would put 700 foot per minute in, and away we go. You would dive and drive, and then at Cobop, you would make sure that you would be well on your way to that 700 foot per minute. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, hope you learned something. We did. We sure did. That's why we did this. It's just more of a learning experience. Hope you enjoyed this 3-in-1. This would be the last one for the Orlando RNAV runway 18 left. Guys, have a great one. Clear skies and warm tailwinds. Buster, take it away.